Across the board.
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 You're listening to Across the Board. Buckle up, because things are about to get interesting.
Hi, Angela.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. What's going on?
I don't know. You seem like you're busy on your phone.
Don't be rude.
I mean, you can be if you want. That's fine. But anyway, so Raffi, get this. The other day,
Yes.
we're sitting there, we're having a couple of drinks. I came up with this crazy concept. We're talking about time. And I'm like, okay, what if time, right? It only progresses in this linear fashion of like where a second is a second, a minute is a minute, hour is an hour, because that's the way we perceive it. So I'll elaborate. You know how like when you're having fun, time goes quicker. When you're bored or you're fucking struggling, whatever, time just like slows down. I'm like, what if that's the nature of time? So theoretically, in my idea here, you take somebody, you put them on a spaceship, you launch them off into space, past all the fucking planets. They're in the middle of nothing, darkness. They have no communication with Earth. They have nothing on the spaceship that tells them time. So they don't know how much time is passing in terms of like, they're not watching TV shows where they're like, I know this show's 30 minutes. They don't have a clock. They have no idea of the passage of time. I'd be curious to see, would things move the same way they do here on Earth? Like, would people get hungry in 5 or 6 hours? Would they want to go to sleep after 12, 14 hours? Or would their body just be like, well, I'm fine because their brain is not seeing time moving?
That's interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where it's like we'll probably never be able to find out, because even if we could travel that far into space, you're never going to be able to put somebody in that condition because it's fucking torture.
Yeah, who would want to do that?
Exactly. And like, I don't think it's ethical at all either to put somebody like, just don't let them communicate with people for like a month, like just out there floating around in space.
That in complete darkness and all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it for all the money in the world.
But it would be interesting to find out, like if I mean, I don't know, maybe there's another way we can find out, but like if time moves differently based on the perception. That's my theory, my crazy, like Stephen Hawking theory.
It's crazy to think about, huh?
Definitely. Do me a favor, move that mic a little bit up towards you. There you go.
Is it better? Is it better if I?
Yep, exactly. Straight on. Yep.
There we go.
Don't put your mouth on it.
You have alcohol wipes, right?
Maybe, or we could just throw it
Did we
out.
already start or no?
Oh yeah, we've started. Yeah. we started a while ago.
I was joking. But yeah.
So anyway,
So I said no.
she thinks that's completely absurd. But I'm like, how do we know? How do we know that the reason that we age the way we do? Like, how do we know that that's not a product of our brains telling us that we're supposed to age that way?
You know, some people say like the happy birthday song is like a ritual. And
Really?
every time, this is what I heard. Every time you sing it, you blow out the candles. It's like a spell to make you older.
You never
Oh,
fucking
no.
know.
I love birthdays.
But you never know. I mean, here's the thing is like at the end of the day, I think, you know, like if we, for example, if you took somebody that had never had any concept of a calendar, right?
Yeah, like an animal, like a dog
Or even just like somebody that's like, I don't know, somebody that's lived out in the middle of fucking nowhere in the
Brazil,
jungle. And
the jungles
Yeah,
of
but there
Brazil,
are people like that in the world, and they still age. They still get older. They
yeah, but
still,
also have you noticed that
that's
the
true.
people that live the longest are the people that are not in regular society? And now granted, that could be because of the food, the smog, the whatever.
But I don't think that has anything to do with time.
But how do we know that their bodies are not aging slower because of the fact that they're not constantly being told what time it is, how many days have passed, how many years have passed?
But
They're just out there living.
yes, but time progressively moves forward. It doesn't stop at any point. So
As far as we know. But this is why this is like a theory, and this is not like there's nothing that guarantees that I'm right. But this is also something that's plausible. We just can't test it. So it's theoretical science, essentially. You know, the funny thing is I'm saying this, like I thought about this, but I almost guarantee you some scientist out there has this theory and has published it and There's probably been peer reviews and all that stuff, but like it just came to me at one point. I was like, how do we know that that's not how this works? We don't.
We don't, but I just can't wrap my head around things not moving forward in relation to time. Like time, whether or not you have a concept of it, is still going.
Well,
So you're still aging. You're still
The sun
growing.
comes up and it goes
I get
down.
that, but this is my
So-
point. Like, how do we, like, if I understand that all this stuff happens, but my point is how do we know that that happening is not what's causing our brains to cause our body to age? So, for example, if you, like the placebo effect, right? Somebody gives you a pill, they're like, hey, this pill is going to make you freaking forget all your aches and pains. You pop the pill, you're like, I feel better.
Right.
It could be bullshit, but your brain is creating that. Your brain is controlling your body to that extent where it's even blocking out the pain. Now, what if the same was true for the passage of time? What if you're only aging because your brain is saying, hey, time is passing, we need to age?
But then you're saying that time is just a made up thing.
No, I'm saying that our perception of time is only what it is because of the way we perceive it. Like us perceiving years passing is only that way because somebody's telling us that years are passing.
So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop taking time. I'm not going to look at it anymore.
It's not going to work.
And I'm going to be this age forever.
But see, that's the thing is it would never work here. I wish that were the case. But
Let
the
me know
problem,
if that goes well. I'll do it too.
but see, here's the thing: is like you could never prove that in a world where somebody has grown up with time, because no matter how little you look at a clock, like you could take clocks out of the equation, you could take calendars out of the equation, but you know that when the sun rises and it sets again, that a day has passed.
Right.
So you'd have to take all of that out of the equation. You'd have to literally
No,
put
that's
somebody in
not
the middle
possible.
of space where there's no sunrise and sunset.
But you can't go into the middle of space.
That's why it's a theory. That's why all of this is a theory.
Well, one day this theory can be.
It can be.
tested, and
There
I'm
might
pretty
be,
Sure
yeah.
it will.
One of these days, if we're launching people into deep space,
Yeah.
we're going to be able to test this theory.
Maybe. But
And at that point, they're going to go back and they're going to say, hey, you remember that one podcast from like
They were the first
2025?
people to talk about it.
They were like, that fucking guy was right.
no, just like to me, realistically, I can't really wrap my head around it. Even though I understand what you're trying to say, is just
Okay, so here's another thing.
to me, time is time. It passes, and that's really all there is to it. Whether or not you're deep into space,
I get
the
it.
Earth is still rotating. Everything around
I-
you is still moving. So.
I 100% agree with you. My theory is based on something that we can't test. So unfortunately, it just has to remain a theory.
Yeah.
Speaking of crazy things to think about. So last night I counted this. I was watching this TikTok and it said something about like if you worked every hour, blah, blah, blah. So I did the math on it and it's true. So if you worked 24 hours a day for the last 5,000 years, right?
It's not possible.
But let's say it were 5,000 years, you worked 24 hours a day and you made $5,000 an hour. Today, you would only have $219 billion.
Oh, wow. Only?
So Elon Musk would still have double, his net worth would still be double what what you would have made in 5,000 years at $5,000 an hour.
That's actually insane.
That is crazy, yeah.
Like that just proves that the only way to make that kind of money is by exploiting labor from thousands of people.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way to do it. Like you got to have a bunch of people out there making money for you.
Yeah.
Because as one person, that doesn't matter how much. If you made $1 million an hour, I still don't think you can make that much money in a lifetime.
No.
Like,
There's no way.
I don't know. Here, hold on. Let's do some
Well,
quick
you're
math.
comparing it to Elon Musk. Like, these Saudi princes and the royal family, they have way more money.
Yeah,
than
they're
that
just
guy.
hush hush about it. That's the
Yeah.
problem. I'm just curious if you
The
took a
amount
30
of gold and cash and cars they have, real estate,
Oh, it's insane.
assets. It's crazy.
So
You need a Jamie.
I do. Interestingly enough, if you made $1 million an hour, but you worked a regular career,
Right.
you made $1 million an hour, you worked for 30 years at 40 hours a week.
9 to 5.
Yeah. You would still only have $62 billion. And that's at $1 million an hour. tax free.
That's until 65?
That's a 30-year career. I mean, depending on when you want to start it, but let's say 30 years. It's a full retirement, full career. That's insane.
Where can I apply?
Yeah, but at $1 million an hour. That's what I'm saying.
What about overtime? You didn't count overtime.
I did count overtime, but then we also did take out taxes, so that's going to screw everything up. After taxes, you're left with like what, 20 billion? No, it's fucking crazy when you think about like that amount of money. Like, you know how they're like, oh, well, this person just bought a yacht that's $400 million. I'm like, yeah, but if you have 200 billion, what's $400 million?
It's like a cup of coffee.
It's literally, it's it's like an average person going out and buying a used car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if that, you know what I mean? It's like, it's not even the average,
Isn't that crazy to
it's
think
the
about,
above
though?
average person.
That's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
That
Well, listen,
that
like,
equates to that much for them.
Yeah.
when you go to Vegas, for example, right? You go and you're walking around the casino and you see some asshole in the high limit room playing $5,000 a hand. To that guy, $5,000 a hand might be like, okay, this is cool. I could play, whatever. These guys go out there, they play $250,000 in a session, in a night. And I mean, $250,000 to some people might be the value of their entire house. It might be their house and their car. Like,
Right.
it might, I mean, but it's all relative. It depends on who you're talking about. No?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't play that much.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Is,
penny
okay,
machines.
so the way I look at it, I'm like, if you have that much money, though, why do you even need to gamble at that point? Like,
I think for the rush, probably, huh?
but I mean,
they
if
still
you have
probably-
enough money to play that much, that like there is no rush left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you're like,
Once you pass that threshold, it's like,
you know what I mean? That
Maybe
Maybe
there's
they
like,
just genuinely enjoy playing games, and
yeah, but if that was the case, they'd
Maybe
play for
they're wasting
$100 a
time.
hand.
or
You know?
or maybe it's like a, let me see if I can, win this machine kind of a thing.
yeah.
Well, but it's mostly tables that we're talking about. Like, these are the guys that are sitting
They
at
probably
like,
just like playing card
blackjack.
games, and they
Yes
don't really
and
care.
no.
Or maybe their
That's-
wives are shopping and they're like trying to
What
waste
was
time.
Let me kill some time.
Exactly.
Here's $250,000
Yeah.
at a
Here's
blackjack
1 million,
table.
especially those Saudis and the Chinese like billionaires.
Well, but okay, but
There's
here's
a
the
lot
thing
of
too
Chinese
is,
billionaires who go to Vegas.
but I also feel like because I don't think those people are allowed to gamble where they're from. I think that's the thing of it. So it's like they come to Vegas once a year or two and they just go crazy because it's like I don't think there's are there
In
casinos
China,
in
there's
China?
there's
Oh, there's-
Macau. That's like their
Oh,
Vegas.
that's right. Yeah.
But
that's
the
like
Saudis, no.
Saudis. I don't think gambling
even
is legal.
gamble?
Yeah, I don't think
don't-
it's legal in Islam.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
how are these guys coming to Vegas and gambling?
I don't
Isn't
know.
that against their religion?
I mean, I couldn't answer that. I'm not
Yeah.
too familiar, but maybe it's just levels of how committed they are or something. I don't know. Some people are just a little more into
So
it than
I
others.
just looked at one of the places in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
And it says gambling is strictly prohibited, due to the adherence to Islamic law, Sharia.
Yeah.
So they can't. They're not allowed to gamble at all under any circumstance.
But, okay, so it's not just there; it's anywhere.
That's
Well, it's funny.
No,
'cause-
this is for Saudi Arabia.
okay. No, but I mean, like, if somebody is from Saudi Arabia, if somebody's Muslim, are they allowed to like leave the Middle East and come to Vegas and gamble? Like,
I mean, they
I would
could.
imagine no, because it's not. It's against their religion. That's what the Sharia law is based off of, right?
So if you actively participate in the Islamic religion,
Mm-hmm.
you gambling is considered to be haram or forbidden.
right.
Okay.
So if you are actively practicing
But if
that
you're
religion,
just like I'm Muslim, but you don't really do any of the stuff,
exactly,
okay, that makes sense.
then you can
Like the more loosely
yeah.
affiliated members of the religion.
I mean, a lot of different religions don't
Well, of
allow
course.
gambling. Like, Christians aren't supposed to gamble either,
Yeah,
but
Really?
you're right.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
not. Here we are.
I did not know that. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it's I think in all religions though they've kind of made it a point to be like money and any kind of like pursuit of it was supposed to be.
Anything fun.
Right,
I wouldn't
yeah.
say that.
I'm kidding. I know.
Well, maybe. I don't know. Anything that we consider fun,
Right.
but that also kind of tells you how off the rails fucking the world has gone, Like The devil's winning these days. That's for sure. No, but it's interesting though. Like when you're walking around and you're looking at the disparity between people. Like, so for example, like go to Beverly Hills. Like today coming home, I drove through the Golden Triangle, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like you see people just walking around spending money like it's fucking nothing, right? Like, oh, I like this shirt. I'm willing to spend $600 on it. Meanwhile, there are people in literally the same city that couldn't spend $600 on their entire freaking year's worth of wardrobe. They're wearing hand-me-downs and thrift shop stuff. Like,
but you also have to consider that a lot of the people that visit the Golden Triangle, you know, Rodeo, for example, are tourists.
Yeah, that's true.
So a lot of I personally think a lot of the people that are able to purchase items of that caliber do that privately. Or send someone to purchase those things. But, you know, just whenever I've been around that area, I've seen a lot of tourism. And they're the ones typically buying a lot of the designer items.
But I feel like this is kind of the slow season, isn't it, for LA? Especially after these fires and stuff. You think people are coming still?
I mean,
like, given half the city burned down. Let me go check it out.
Given, you know, the things that have happened in the last, you know, month, maybe.
That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, you could say the same thing about when COVID happened and how people were getting laid off and everything was closed. And as soon as things started opening back up, it was like an influx of people were just like buying.
Yeah.
And going to all these like expensive stores and literally spending all this money on these things. And it felt like there was more people like that versus before.
You know what's fucking crazy? I don't
also
know.
The stimulus checks too. Remember that?
Yeah, but how much are you getting on the stimulus checks? That's the thing.
Yeah, but you know,
you're
what's
gonna get
funny?
one purse, like, you know.
Okay, but still though, like when those stimulus checks hit, like we had gone to Vegas shortly after those stimulus checks came out, and like I think it was 2021. Dude, the number of fucking people in Vegas like exploded.
But I'm just confused.
Like,
how much were they getting? How much were people
like
qualified getting?
$1,800 or something like that.
I mean, what are you? That's not even that much.
600, wasn't it? 600.
I don't remember, or maybe it was 1,200. I forgot what it was. I think it was 600 a person, maybe 1,200 a couple, or something like that, or 1,200 a person.
Maybe, yeah.
I forgot what it was, but still though, like if somebody is able to, if somebody still has their job, but they still get a check, they're like, hey, I'm gonna go to Vegas. I'm gonna go blow this money on stupid shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not smart though.
Yeah,
you know,
but
it's like,
how many people do we see out
if I'm gonna get
there?
like $1,200, for example, I'm not going to be like, my first thought isn't going to be, let me go to Vegas.
Well, but you also
like,
got to remember, it wasn't just a stimulus check; it was the fucking loans.
Yeah.
That's
Do you
true.
know how many people ended up
PPP loans, right?
Yeah, you know how many people ended
Yeah.
up going to prison for freaking getting caught like doing fraud and getting fake
I
PPP
heard.
loans?
They're
with
catching
fake
them now,
paperwork?
still
Yeah.
to this day. Yeah.
I think a lot of people thought they were off the hook, but years down
Oh, yeah.
the line, they're like,
yeah, because
no,
they're like,
we
oh, time
gotcha.
went by. No, and they're charging people now. Dude,
Yeah.
there was an Armenian couple in Encino that faked a bunch of paperwork for like multiple companies, got something like $6 million in PPP loans, and then just left the country. Like
What do they do in that case if you left the country? Can they even find you? Can they bring you? Like, I don't know how that process works, but that's,
They'll probably
That's
go to
wild.
Russia, and that's it.
Get
You
some
know how
fake
big
papers made up and
Russia
come
is?
back or
You
something?
can never find anyone there.
well, but that's the thing
And
too
where?
is,
Russia.
yeah, that's true.
but even if you don't disappear there, I'm sure it's a corrupt enough place where you can get some fake papers made up for,
That's anywhere. You can get
Yeah.
them here too.
Yeah, you could get it here too.
But my point is you get some fake papers, you come back as a different person. You know,
What about the fingerprints? Do they?
You can always just burn them off.
That sounds painful.
yeah, get a couple of cuts on your fingers or
Yeah, you
something.
can
I'm sure
burn
there's
them off.
ways.
Change it like a couple cuts.
I don't know. I'm sure there's ways.
I know there. Yeah, some.
I'm
kinda
sure somebody's
acid.
figured it out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's wow.
There are always options.
But that was the thing is COVID was a wild fucking time. It was like the Wild West. Like literally you had people walking around, like people were getting yelled at for not wearing a mask in a bank.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, a bank? Like
Right.
that's no. You're, like what the hell's
They
going
show
on?
videos like when they were waiting for the airplane, they had to socially distance, and then when they get on the airplane, they're
Yeah,
like,
that
oh,
that never made sense.
Like,
to me.
what?
You're literally
No, you
still
know
packed
which
in
one-
there like a sardine in a can.
So
Yeah.
the one that I
And-
really didn't understand, the one that blew my mind is
I
like
think I know what you're gonna say.
you walk into a restaurant,
Yep.
but you have to have a mask on. But when you sit down, you can take the mask off.
Yeah.
And then when you stand up, you have to wear it again. I'm like, dude, we're in the same fucking room. We haven't moved.
ridiculous.
Like it makes no sense.
It was a funny thing. We went to, this was like, I think 2022. We went into a restaurant and we're at the hostess stand. We check in. We take off our masks because, once you get into the restaurant, you can kind of take it off.
Yeah.
And they go, you need to put your mask back on.
Oh, and there was nobody in there either.
And this
Everybody
was
okay.
2022, 2 years after.
And I'm like, okay, no problem. So I put it back on. We get seated. And then we can take it off. Like
No, but here's
it
the
was literally maybe
ridiculous.
10 feet.
It was that
from
was the
where
funny
we
thing
were
is
standing.
the table that we were standing, the table that we got seated at was maybe 3 tables in from the hostess station.
Yeah.
It was right there. I was like, dude, and there was nobody between us and the table they sat us at. So I'm like, what was the point of that?
I understand the need to be safe, but there's also things that just did not make sense at all.
It's, you know what it is people were just happy to comply blindly without questioning the logic of it. That's the crazy
Yeah,
part.
but even if you question the logic, they have these specific rules in place, so you're going to have to follow them.
But
Whether or
if-
not you
okay,
question, you can't really cause a scene. You're going to just look stupid.
I understand, but there was also rules in Germany in the late 1930s, early 40s. That doesn't make those rules right. Logically speaking, people should have said, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't look right. We shouldn't do this.
But I
shit.
think those laws were pertaining to something else versus disease.
But also telling people they can't eat, or at one point they were telling you can't go to a grocery store without. Didn't they try to do a thing where you couldn't go into a grocery store without a vaccine? Without
yes,
proof of
no, they
vaccine?
did that in LA. Don't you remember? We couldn't go
Okay.
to restaurants unless we were vaccinated. We had to show our cards.
But to
And
tell,
New York.
Yeah.
But see, this is what I'm saying. To
Yeah,
tell
the
people
gym,
you
too.
are not allowed to eat because you don't have,
Right.
you didn't
The
follow this stupid
vaccine,
law.
Yeah.
That's criminal. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And then now it's like nothing ever happened.
Damn, I
That
forgot
stuff-
about
yeah.
that. That's crazy.
Every single time we'd have to go to the restaurant, we'd have to show our vaccination cards.
Yeah. Oh, and
And at that point, you kind of felt helpless
because
because you're like, well, I can't do anything unless I have this unless I get vaccinated. I couldn't work unless I got vaccinated.
Yeah.
Granted, I got vaccinated before that, but then I had to get a booster and everything, and it was just like you were not allowed to do certain things unless you're vaccinated. And now it's like, well, let's just throw all that stuff out the door. It doesn't really matter.
Okay, but here's
know,
the
like-
thing: is like even aside from all that, right? Even aside from the vaccine, this and that, the fact that they came out and said this is the most deadly thing ever. We have to shut down the entire fucking country. Blah 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 blah. Blah. Right? All this craziness. Then you start looking at the numbers. A year or 2 years into, you start looking at the numbers, and you're like, oh, there was 40 million cases of COVID and 0 cases of the flu.
Yeah.
But the year prior, there was 40 million cases of the flu and 0 COVID. So it's like,
How does that?
did we just
happen?
trade one for the other and call it
Yeah.
something different? Like it made no sense. Like, and
I'm just wondering how many of those cases were truly COVID and how many of those cases were actually the flu.
what I'd like to know is how accurate were the tests in just COVID versus like the flu or anything else? Like, were they testing for any kind of a coronavirus, like the common cold, the flu, or was it just testing for strictly COVID? Who knows? I don't know, it was a fucking weird time.
They
Like
still
everybody lost their
sell-
minds.
They still sell those testers. I still
Oh, I'm
buy
sure.
them for my customers
I'm sure.
all the time.
But see, that's the thing is like most of the people I know, when like they get sick, it's like I'm not even going to test for COVID because what's
Yeah.
the point
What's the
anymore? It's
point?
nothing.
Yeah.
it's a cold at this point.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like,
What
why
are you gonna do differently?
Yeah, exactly. What am I going to know that's going to be so like?
I mean, we stay away from people when we're sick either way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
That's just a
exactly.
polite thing to do. But
Yeah.
it's like
common sense.
yeah, most people. It's like if they have COVID, all of a sudden it's at a different level. Like okay, we had a neighbor who I think this was late 2020 or maybe mid 21, literally ran around and put a note on everybody's door and said basically how one of their family members got COVID and they didn't want to, like transmit it to anybody. And, we thank you for understanding, and we're
Basically,
just
like,
asking
we
for
don't-
your prayers. And I'm like,
yeah, basically like this is just FYI in case you don't see us
Yeah.
around the building.
yeah. And I'm like, dude, you're not a leper. Like you're not fucking dying. It's just COVID. It's just,
And the thing is, we don't really have like a relationship with them, so it's kind of like whatever. I get why they're doing that, but it's
but that's the thing is people overreacted like crazy. Like people thought it was the end of the world. I mean, dude, I still see people driving around with masks on.
To be
Yeah,
completely
me
honest, we were scared too the first couple of months. We were like, our parents
But-
were older.
Yeah,
like
especially- yeah.
Imagine like.
But
I
honestly,
mean,
I feel like it was after like 3 or 4 months where it started just like, for me personally, it was things didn't add up anymore. Like I would watch the news and I would listen to stuff and whatever. And you would hear them say one thing one day, and then like a couple of weeks later, it was a whole different story.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going, well, hold on, your story's not adding up anymore. So why should I believe you? And then I started meeting people. They're like, oh yeah, I got COVID. It was like a cold, whatever. Like I did not meet actually, I'm sorry. I met one person who got COVID and got like really bad, but he had a heart condition.
Well,
Yeah.
So people with underlying conditions
You know,
got it
but,
really
like,
bad, and thankfully,
Everybody else was like, oh, I was fine. You know,
thankfully, we don't have, knock on wood, don't have issues like that, so we didn't take it that hard. But I still feel bad for the people that actually took it really hard, and for those families who lost people because of it. So it is serious.
I'm not saying it's not, but at the same time, so is the flu.
Of course.
People die from the flu every year.
Yeah,
I think
especially
more
older
people have died
people.
from the flu in general, haven't
Probably.
they? Like, I mean, the flu's been around for how long? Like,
Since the beginning,
Yeah.
probably.
Well, have you heard the craziness now? Apparently, all of a sudden, we have a tuberculosis outbreak.
Yeah, I just saw that. I just
is
saw
it the
that today.
1800s? I don't.
Well, and
What is tuberculosis?
it's a lung
like-
disease of some
Yeah,
sort.
it like
you cough
STD?
up. You can like cough up blood, I think, or
Oh,
something
No, it's
like
like some
that.
kind of like lung thing. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And I think it was like it was big in the 1800s, but this is
Yeah.
apparently the biggest outbreak in the United States. Because prior to this, it was all in like different countries, right?
how do you get it? Like just from
So
someone?
you don't.
It's prolonged exposure. So somebody has to have it, and you have to be around
Yeah.
them
So
for a
if
while.
someone coughs or sneezes and they have it, you're very susceptible to getting it. And if you get tuberculosis, your life expectancy is around 7 years, is what they say.
Jeez.
I'm
Can you
sure
not be
we
cured
have.
from it?
You can. Yeah. There's like treatment and stuff like
yeah,
that, but
there's
it's
treatments, but there's no cures, right?
Oh,
but
shit.
it's like
It's like-
90. I'm looking at like stats here. It says it's 95% effective, but you also have the chance of only surviving 7 years after that. It's like a very serious
pretty
bacterial
fucked up.
infection in your
Jesus
lungs.
Christ.
Well, and I don't know how true this is, but one of the rumors I heard is it's probably going around because we let in a lot of people who were not vetted or who. So, like, typically when you allow immigrants into this country, at the very least, vaccinations, right? Like stuff like tuberculosis, because
Yeah.
they're coming from God knows where, and you don't want them to bring diseases from wherever they're coming from into your country, into your population. Well, apparently we weren't doing that this last 4 years. So apparently that also introduced fucking disease into our.
Man,
Didn't we
brought,
have the
rape
plague at some point?
Yeah, but the plague was just from the filth and the homeless people. That happened in LA, and I think probably did it happen in New York?
I don't know.
I don't know, but in LA it definitely happened. It was from a bunch of rats that were running around.
Oh my God.
Mostly due to like homeless encampments and stuff like that. They actually had to shut down City Hall at one point.
Oh.
They did it quietly, of course, but they had to close down City Hall and vacate the building because they had rats running around carrying fucking God knows what. So they had to exterminate the building top to bottom before they could let people back in.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the thing is like when you don't follow the protocols that have been developed over the last century to keep disease from spreading, what's going to happen? You're going to start spreading disease.
Right.
Yeah.
How
It's
did
like-
you guys handle COVID, Raffi?
I will tell you this. When I got COVID, it was 2021, and it was the worst flu I ever had. It
Really?
It lasted so long. It lasted maybe like for 2.5 weeks or something.
Wow.
It was crazy. And you know what? Before I got before I used to smoke cigarettes. Once I got COVID, like something happened with my mind, and I
just-
never. Yeah, I found
Oh, there's-
cigarettes disgust. I haven't smoked a cigarette since.
That's a benefit.
Like
I mean,
Right?
COVID
the
saved your
vaping,
life.
the hookah, I love all that, but the cigarettes, yeah.
I've heard people's taste buds have changed over time too. So some people can't drink soda, or they can't eat certain foods and
did you
things
hear
like
about
that.
like there were people? Did you ever lose your taste, like your taste and smell?
Yeah,
I
but
did.
it
I
was-
never got
I
that.
did too. The first time I had COVID, I
I
lost
never
it all.
got that.
It was only for like maybe a week or something.
So what's crazy is I heard there were people that like a year later still couldn't taste anything.
Yeah, it's still
That's-
happening
oh my
till
goodness.
now.
Like,
I
that's
think.
fucked
Yeah.
up.
That's
Imagine you
terrifying.
could just never taste
Imagine
food
that.
again.
Like you can't taste pizza and
Oh my gosh.
burgers.
Anything. Like you
How
don't
do
know
you
if
live?
it's you don't know if it's disgusting. You don't know if
Right.
it's great. You're
Oh
just
my
eating.
God.
Like you don't know if it's rotten because you're eating it and you're just like, well, I guess it is what it is. That's fucking nuts.
That's sad. I don't know why I laughed. That's
No, I mean it's kind of funny in a sense because it's like you. I mean it's fucked up, but it's like these people won't taste anything again.
You know, when we had the illness in my house, my dad had it first, and he was the one who said it. He's like, I can't taste anything.
That
and I
sucks.
started panicking. I was like, oh no.
You're like, I know what this is.
And then I think it happened to my sister next, or it was me. I can't remember, but yeah, for like a week or something. Thank God.
Well, and so the funny thing is I didn't get COVID, and you know, like I was out every day. I was meeting people every day, dozens of people. I didn't get COVID until the end of 2021, and I only got it about a month after I was forced to take the vaccine. So I was forced to take the vaccine. A month later, I got COVID. The funny thing is I felt like I had a cold for about a day. The next day, I had gone to down the street. There was an urgent care that does a rapid testing.
Right.
So I went there because I'm like, well, if I do have it, then I get time off of work. So
You
I'm like,
remember how
might as well.
expensive those rapid tests were?
Oh, they're
too?
like $200 or something.
Jesus.
And we would like,
Christ.
and the thing is, every single time we'd feel any kind of like, you know, sickly feeling, I guess, you'd want to go get tested because you're like, oh my God, do I have COVID? You know?
Well, yeah, you want to make sure. 'cause-
drive-through things, right? It was drive-through.
No, this one like
No,
you.
this is like
you would-
actual, like,
so
clinic.
they had a tent in the back.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like,
I would see
but
those,
yeah,
yeah.
you would go walk in and you would tell them, hey, I want a COVID test. They're like, all right, go around back. So I took the stupid rapid test and they're like, do you want to do the PCR test too? I'm like, well, how much is that? It's free. I was like, all right, why not? Just fucking do it. So rapid test, they're like, oh, you're negative. You're good to go, whatever. So I go back to work. This was 3 days before New Year's Eve.
Oh, wow.
We had 3 or 4 days before New Year's Eve. And we had a whole thing planned of all this food, this, that, the other thing. On New Year's Eve at 5 o'clock, I get a call saying, hey, you tested positive for COVID on the PCR test. I was like, you fucking
and we were like
asshole.
getting ready to go
We were
out.
literally getting
like-
ready to go out. Yeah. And so the funny thing is, though, is like by then I felt 100% normal. Like it lasted a day and a half. And then I felt 100% normal.
You know what I'm
after that.
thinking? I'm imagining if in-home tests were available at that point and you took it that day, if you would still be positive. Because it was days after that you got those results.
Well, but also here's the other thing too, though, is have you noticed like with the home tests, like you would take it on day one and it would be negative, and then the second day you take it and it's positive, and it's like,
I
well,
think they're not that reliable, huh?
no. Well, who was it that said? I think it was Elon Musk. He said he did like 3 of them, and then like 2 of them came back negative and 1 came back positive. So it's like every test was something different.
yeah.
You know, you just reminded me of something when you said you got COVID after you got vaccinated. I remember because my brother was still living with us. He got he got vaccinated, and then like a week later, my dad got sick, and then I got sick.
Which one did he take?
I don't know.
So the funny thing is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, whichever was available.
The funny thing is, he would get COVID and I would not. And then
Yeah,
months and months and months and months later, I would have COVID and he wouldn't get it.
yeah.
There was
We didn't do
only-
anything
there was
different. We're
only
sleeping
one
in the same
time
bed, everything like normal.
That we had COVID at the same time, and that was after we took a trip to Europe, and
Oh, we
were
knew
on
it too.
a plane for like 15 hours.
Dude, coming back, there were people sneezing all over the place, coughing. I was like,
and-
for sure we're getting sick.
So like I think it was a few days, maybe 3 or 4 days later.
It
Both
was
of
like,
us
it was
felt
like 2 days later.
both of us felt like we had allergies.
But
We didn't
here's the
feel really
funny thing.
sick or anything.
So here's the funny thing, though, is I didn't feel sick. I just felt like tired kind of, but I'm like, okay, maybe it's the trip, whatever.
Right.
And literally what it was is I go up the stairs to go to the bathroom, and like I'm going up the stairs, and by the time I get to the top of the stairs, I'm like, why am I tired? Like, why am I winded? Like, that's not normal. And that's literally when I'm like, hey, maybe we should take a COVID test. We both took that COVID test. I went into the bathroom to take a leak. Literally, by the time I got back out, I was just like, yeah, they're both positive. It was like, it was instant. It was like,
Yeah.
like that. It was like, we knew it. But that was the only indicator, was I had a little bit of shortness of breath. And I think it was just because probably whatever mucus and bullshit. But I didn't feel like, I wasn't like, oh shit, I feel like I'm sick. Like, it was just like, I'm tired, I'm whatever.
And that was right after your European trip.
Yeah.
It's funny because last year I went to the UK and Ireland, And in Ireland, I got very sick.
Really?
And that was the worst sickness I ever had was COVID, actually. The second worst sickness I ever had in my life was the one I had in Ireland.
What was
it?
it?
Hurt to swallow. Like, I thought I had strep throat.
You might have had strep throat.
I even had, like, I had a doctor. It's not, over there, you have to, they call you.
Okay.
They
Right.
like gave me a prescription. I went to go pick it up. It was unbearable. It was so
Really?
bad. Fever, everything. It ruined the whole trip. My brother had
That
to rent a
sucks.
car. We had so many like places we wanted to go to, so many different castles, and I just couldn't.
That sucks. Being all the
that
way
sucks,
there too.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like
But did they ever test you for strep?
No.
I think that's probably what you had if you're feeling like
They
that.
did
It's
give
like
me-
one of the worst feelings to have.
Yeah. I got painkillers actually. I got painkillers and antibiotics. And I think like, I don't know, a week worth or something. And then I came home and maybe like a few days later I started feeling better.
Yeah.
So what was it last on Thanksgiving? Dude, the day before Thanksgiving, I came home from work. I was feeling like shit. I ended up knocking out on the couch right when I got home. When I woke up, I had like the worst cough of my life. It was just dry, like a hacking cough. Like I couldn't do, like it hurt to cough. Like I really didn't want to cough because like my whole chest was like burning.
Yeah, that sucks.
I got laid out for 3 days, I think. All of Thanksgiving Day, I did not get out of bed. Like I was in bed with a fever all of Thanksgiving Day. Like, and I still don't know what that was, but it was
You
just.
just had like a full flu or
I think I
something.
did, but like it was weird because I had the cough the first day,
You could have
and
had, what is it called?
and then it went away.
Bronchitis.
Maybe.
You know, because I had laryngitis earlier
Maybe one of those.
last year.
Well, they said like walking pneumonia was going around too.
Who knows? But yeah.
Here's the fucking crazy part. I don't know why all of a sudden every single disease on earth is like going around.
I don't
Like
know.
swine.
I'd rather not
Well,
know.
not swine flu. What is it? Right
Bird?
now it's bird flu.
Yeah. Wow, that's yeah.
We've got
eggs anywhere.
Is that why eggs are so expensive?
Yeah.
I had no.
Yeah.
I thought
Because
just thought
they
we didn't have
killed-
much of a supply.
Yeah, because they killed 30 million chickens or something.
But did they test them or did they just off them? They were just like, oh, might as well be safe.
So wait, how do they know which chickens are safe then if they're not?
That's a
testing
good
them?
question. And are they really going to test them one by one? That's 30
That's a lot of chickens.
Okay, but here's another thing too, though. Is like if you're gonna cook the chicken, is it still harmful to eat? If
No,
it's
because
got
you're cooking off the bacteria. No,
yeah, so that
Okay,
was a
but
waste
what
of 30
about
million
the
chickens.
eggs?
poor chickens.
Yeah.
Who's eating eggs raw though?
Yeah.
There's some people, but
There's
you
some
put out
bodybuilders.
you
and
put
the
out-
Japanese eat it raw.
Yeah, because they put on like the rice and
rice.
the noodles
I-
and stuff, right?
okay,
I love Japanese food, but I don't like that.
I can't do raw egg. That is like that
Yeah,
slimy
it's
texture.
disgusting, yeah.
What I would have just done is like, hey, listen, there's a thing going around. Do not eat raw or undercooked eggs or poultry. Make sure you're cooking them, otherwise you're gonna die. That's it. Like it's simple as that.
Now I just saw a TikTok about coconut juice.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I heard something
Absolutely.
about
coconut
that.
milk, whatever.
I think it was at Costco or something.
I don't know, but they're saying like
I heard something about
hundreds
that.
of thousands of bottles or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it's contaminated with something or another.
Yeah.
Fucking wild. That's another thing that
Tired.
pisses me off is why is it that the people in charge of producing the food in this country, these companies, and the FDA and the USDA, like, why is it that they can't get their shit together and just make sure that the food is not going to kill us?
It's a good question.
We have very low standards when it comes to
Oh,
things
absolutely.
like that.
Well,
you know?
and this is why we have so much of everything.
Mm-hmm.
This is why abundance is everywhere because we don't reject anything. Everything just goes straight to the store.
Yeah, and don't you remember when we were in Spain how good we felt eating the food? And Rafi, I'm sure you know better than us. You've traveled everywhere, and how good you feel eating.
Yeah.
You pretty much eat everything when you're on
yeah.
vacation, and you don't feel like crap afterwards.
Yeah, you don't feel that crash
Mm-hmm.
after eating. Your stomach doesn't hurt. You don't feel lethargic and
Yeah.
tired. And plus, the food over there is much better. Everything.
It,
tastes
it
better
actually
over
has
there.
flavor. Yeah.
Yeah, the bread is
Dude, when we were in
sensational.
Spain, I drank every day, whether it was a couple of beers with food or just like a vodka at night, whatever. We had potatoes with basically every meal.
Yeah.
And fucking ham with basically every meal. I came back 100% even, did not gain a single pound. If I did that here, I would have probably gained 20. Dude, for 10 days,
Oh,
we're
yeah.
just eating and drinking every single day. There's no chance I would have been okay
also
here.
because you guys were probably drinking the wine over there in Spain.
No, I didn't do any wine.
They have like
We're
some of the
strictly
world's
vodka.
best.
I know I don't
Beer
drink
for
wine
him.
though. It's just it doesn't do it for me. It gets me sleepy. So I was like, I don't want to be sleeping away the vacation.
Also, like you got to think about like their pH levels they use for their alcohol.
You're right. It's
like,
probably
different than
that's probably another thing is the water that they use as the base
Yeah.
for their alcohol is probably cleaner too.
yeah, exactly.
Maybe.
So it's
I never
not
thought
just
of
the
that.
food.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's over here. Like so in Mexico, for example, right? Have you seen this? So anything that has more than the recommended amount of sugar will have a warning on the
Yeah.
box that says excess sugar
Excess
or excess
yeah.
fat or
I
whatever.
think everything here would be
Yeah.
labeled that.
Well, and so the funny thing is, like, have you seen the thing with the cereals?
Yeah.
So like they're not allowed to put the character on the cereal
Right.
box
Oh, to like not
to not attract the
Tony
children.
the Tiger.
Kid.
Yeah,
to
the
those
only ones
certain-
that can have that is if it's the reduced sugar version.
I think that's great. Honestly, I wish they.
But why
would
don't they do that here?
I wish they would.
RFK might. This guy's a health
That's a
nut
big,
too.
big undertaking.
Well, but I mean, the whole problem is
it's $1 billion industry. Like that's
the
a
whole
lot.
problem is the lobby.
Yeah.
The whole problem is you have a couple of giant corporations that are lobbying the shit out of our government to do this kind of stuff to be able to get away with it.
One thing surprises me. I've been to Japan a few times, and their diet is like they eat like crap. They eat just like us.
Really?
A lot of
They
sugar.
really?
Oh my god, yeah. Like the
Rice with every
family
meal, like-
marts, they live off of convenience stores like 7-Eleven, Family Marts.
I've seen
and-
those on TikTok.
Yeah, they eat a lot of sugar. They eat a lot of salt. But look at them and look at us. It's
Why? I
Do
mean,
you think
but
that's
it's not,
attributed to the fact that they walk everywhere?
yeah,
You think
yeah.
that's
be,
what
but
it
it could-
is? But I
There's
mean,
more
that's only
cardio.
that can't be everything.
I think it's the preservatives. They use of course they use preservatives too, but the preservatives that they're using is different than the preservatives we are using.
Well, I've heard a lot of the dyes or whatever we use here are banned in different countries.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
they're not allowed to use
They
them at all.
just banned the red dye 40.
Something like that,
yeah, I
yeah.
heard something about that too.
Yeah, I think our state did it first, or the whole U.S.
But here's the thing too, though, is like why are we so far behind? Like Europe did this how many like decades ago,
Yeah,
and we've been over here like, oh yeah, give me all the red dye 40. Like now that's cheaper for us to buy.
Is that in Hot Cheetos?
I think so.
yeah.
I think Hot Cheetos was one of them. Like it's in a bunch of stuff, but
But
it's just
you know what? The one the hot Cheetos in Mexico doesn't have the dye, and it tastes even better.
Well, next time you go to Mexico, you got to bring some of that back for me.
Well, so for
I
example,
love Takis. Have you ever had Takis?
I have.
That's like
I'm more of a Hot Cheetos connoisseur.
I love
but, yeah.
hot Cheetos too.
okay, so the funny thing is the I don't understand why it's a thing, but the high fructose corn syrup versus just regular sugar in sodas.
Isn't that sugar anyway, though?
No. So high fructose corn syrup is a little bit different and apparently a lot more toxic.
Maybe it lasts longer.
I think it's just cheaper to produce. I think that's all
Yeah,
it comes
it's-
down to.
yeah.
It's just cheaper. But like the funny thing is even here in the United States, you just need to tighten the little
Which one?
on the side.
This one?
This? No, the other side.
This one?
Yeah.
This?
Well, no.
This?
From the other side.
What do you mean?
Yeah, right there. Tighten that.
How come I went like this and you're like, no?
Oh, I thought because
Rafi
you were
causing
pointing
chaos.
you were pointing at it from behind.
There we go.
We gotta have you repair our equipment. By the way, I don't cut anything out, so all that's in there.
Oh no.
So, but here's the funny thing: is in the United States, you could still get Coke with regular sugar.
The
Isn't it called Mexican
version.
Coke?
Yeah.
No.
The glass one.
So there's another
right.
time
I've seen it.
yellow caps during Passover because apparently the Jews can't have chemical like stuff.
It's only Pepsi though, right?
I think it's I think it was Coca-Cola or it's one or the other. But yeah, it's only like the regular one. You can get it. It's got a yellow cap and that's only available during Passover and it's got real sugar because something about like they have to have the regular sugar and they can't have the high fructose corn syrup. So they produce it They still produce it, but it's only for
I
a
wonder
limited
why
time.
they don't just like leave it out there. Do you think there's like not that many consumers? Because I mean, I feel like there would be a lot more consumers if it's just natural sugar.
Yeah. Yeah.
But here's the thing: it tastes better too.
It does.
Have you had the Mexican Coke?
It's
it tastes
I
better.
I love it. It's,
Oh,
it's amazing.
We used to get them from the lunch trucks and stuff, like way back in the day, and it would taste so much better.
Yeah.
it's
It's
like
like
we
a
would go to the
different
lunch truck
drink.
specifically for that.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know what I've realized? A lot of different countries don't have Diet Coke.
They do like Coke Zero and
have, like,
stuff
Coke
like that.
They
Zero.
have Coke Zero, and you know they have Coke Zero in bottles, like
Yeah,
in
they're all
Ireland,
bottles.
and yeah, it's pretty cool.
No cans. They're all bottles.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's because Coke Zero, or I mean, Diet Coke implies that
They're
it's
on
going
a
to
diet.
make
I
you
think,
lose
and
weight.
then they're so like I think they're against like diet culture, like we are.
No, it's
in
not
the
that.
United
It's because
States,
it
but-
implies it's false advertising because it implies that it's going to make you lose weight. Like, don't call it Diet Coke. You know what I mean? Like, it's still a bullshit thing. Don't call it Diet Coke because
You
it's
know-
not diet food.
I heard Trump drinks like 6 or 7 of those a day.
Doesn't he also eat like McDonald's
He
every
eats
day or something?
McDonald's 3 times. You know he's a germaphobe.
I would literally
That's
pass
crazy.
away.
Yeah, how is he like?
I would
at
no,
his
there's
age,
no
too?
way.
At his age, I know that's a
You think,
dude.
you think that's true, Angela, or you think it's like?
I mean, I've heard that for a long time, and I mean, the way he's a big boy.
Yeah,
I don't,
big
I don't
boy,
doubt
but
that.
also
he's like in his 70s.
He's almost
But-
80,
He's
but-
almost 80.
You know, I'm
and he's
sure with
still
all
working
his
like
money, he
18
gets
hours
like.
a day.
I'm sure he gets like his insides cleaned. I don't know.
You know
But-
what? You're probably right. He
Yeah.
probably gets all kinds of hormone therapy and shit to just
Yeah, or
like
just
keep him
stem
healthy.
cells. I don't know,
Yeah,
like-
the
Yeah.
stem cells.
I'm sure,
I'm
he,
sure.
he has all that. I don't think he gives a shit, honestly.
Well,
If you know you have all that money, you can
but
pretty much do whatever
honestly,
you want.
even with whatever treatments he does or doesn't get, that's still impressive to be at that age to be able to go like that. I mean, look at Inauguration Day. Like he, even after the inauguration thing was finished, he still had to go to like 3 different parties.
Yeah.
Like that day started. That was like at least a 12-hour day. It was
Yeah.
more. It was like a 16-hour day of just event after event.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That would wear me out, and I'm half his age.
I don't know if it'd wear you out if you were that rich. I honestly think that has a lot to do with his stamina and
I don't think so because I
his
mean, it's-
capabilities.
but there's only so much. There's only so much you could do physically.
Yeah, but like I said, I think there's things that he does to himself that probably help him.
The rich have cheat codes.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
very true.
We don't have those options, so we get tired.
Maybe like a vaccine here and there in between those meetings or something.
Well, I mean,
Or
who
like a
knows?
boost of energy, I'm
yeah,
sure,
exactly.
something
Some little
like that.
like little
12 or
B12 or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely that possibility, but also at the same time, you're right. It's probably he probably like regularly gets like B12 shots and all kinds of like fucking
Yeah.
hormones and peptides
I'm
and
sure,
shit that keep him
you know,
healthy.
being, you know,
If I was rich, I would 100% do that.
being where
Yeah.
he is, I'm sure he gets
Me
checked
too.
up pretty often.
Oh yeah.
You know, so
Well, especially if you're
probably
about to
go
be
to
the
him.
president.
Yeah, he probably doesn't have to go to the. Well, they go to him.
yeah, of course, you don't have to go anywhere. The
Yeah.
People just come to you.
No, and that's the thing is, they have like, there's a lot of different treatments that most people don't even know about until you get like once you start getting rich. That's when you start hearing about all this stuff. Like, and it's funny because athletes are the ones that started really
Yeah.
bringing it out because athletes obviously have money. They get hurt, whatever, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, they did this treatment. And you're like, wait, what the fuck is that? And all of a sudden, that's how people learned about it, you know?
I didn't even find out about stem cells until maybe like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, or something.
Well, I always knew about them. I knew about them for at least a decade, but I didn't know that they were actually doing it.
yeah.
But apparently, they're just not doing it here. It's just you have to go to like Europe
Gotta
or
go to
Mexico or something.
or
Yeah.
Thailand or something, which is crazy. Like, why?
Why not
does-
here?
Yeah.
Because it cures you.
Yeah.
That's the thing is why
Right.
would the pharmaceutical companies in the United States allow somebody to have a one-time thing that they would actually cure them versus selling them a medicine for the rest of their life, you know?
That affects their billions, so of course they're not going to bring it over.
Well,
here.
think about it though. Like if you have let's say 1 million people that are taking a drug for whatever arthritis and they're going to take it every fucking day for the rest of their lives, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if those 1 million people went and they paid one time to get a treatment that fixed their arthritis? Well, now you just lost 1 million customers
Yeah.
versus 1 million customers times 20, 30 years worth of sales.
But I don't think it's just one treatment. I think they have to keep going.
Well, I think it depends on what it is and how severe it is. Like certain
arthritis.
things, yeah, like something like that, like you probably have to get multiple treatments, but it's not that often either, though.
True.
And
but
you
like
actually
once-
feel better. Like
yeah.
it's not like you take it and it's good for like 4 hours and then you got to go back and take another
Yeah,
one.
No, that's ridiculous.
It's
yeah.
good for months, like maybe like 6 months or something before you have to go back for the next one. It's spaced out like that.
I feel like later, maybe in like 10, 20 years when the jig is up and everyone else is doing it, they're
Yeah.
going to be like, okay, we'll do it. And they'll charge a fortune.
Oh, yeah,
They'll charge
absolutely.
like 20 times more.
It'll be, yeah, because obviously they've got to make that one-time payment off of you to be able to justify not selling you the pills.
Like,
Or they'll somehow dumb it down to where it's like, oh yeah, we're going to give you stem cells, but it's not as good as it should be, so you
Yeah.
still have to keep
like
going
a
back.
quarter treatment or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, it's going to be like a half-ass version of it where you got to go back every 3 months for it. You know, it's
Oh, I
like,
see that. Yeah. Yeah, that makes
they'll
sense.
find a way. They'll find a way to make money off of it.
Of course, trial
greedy
trial
bastards.
periods are.
Well-
Let's try this first, and then we're still developing it. We're still developing it. So
Well, and that's the other thing too. Have you noticed like how it's like every time they come out with something, it's always like, well, we have this thing now. It's brand new, blah, blah, blah. You should do it. And then after you do it and it doesn't work for you a year later, they're like, oh no, that was the old one. Now we have a new one. You should do this. And it's just like
Exactly.
just selling you on the newest shit over and over again. It's
It's crazy.
it's a
the
cycle.
American
it's
way.
a cycle.
It's capitalism. That's what it is. It's just I agree with capitalism, but some of the larger corporations just take it to the extreme where their capitalism sense has gotten just fucking like wicked.
Yeah, they don't care. They just
They don't
wanna
care.
make
That's-
money. It's just, they don't care.
That's what it is. It's like I understand
They're not letting
capitalism,
their family members take this stuff.
but see, that's the thing is like capitalism is fine if it's fine to make money, but as long as you're actually doing, you're selling the person what they want.
Right, yeah.
But if you're selling the person a half-assed version of what they actually want and still charging them a shit ton of money for it, that's just wrong. But
That's most.
but that's corporate greed, and that's just the way it is.
Right.
I mean, look at fucking eggs at $20 a dozen. That
I
makes
was
no
literally
sense.
at the market yesterday. I'm like, well, I'm going to buy eggs 'cause I don't really have that many at home. And it said $19.49. And I'm like, no,
No, there's no way. I'd rather starve than pay $20 for a dozen. I would rather go get chickens and start raising them than pay $20 a
we-
dozen.
I keep asking him if we can have like a duck or a chicken.
I don't think we're allowed to.
Yeah, it's
Maybe a
they're
Highland cow.
Very loud. They're
Chickens are allowed. Actually,
and you need a rooster too, right? Or
I don't think you do.
No.
I don't think
so
you
they
do.
just keep laying without.
Yeah. So
So why do people have roosters then?
I think just to be annoying dicks. Like just to annoy
They
their
can't
neighbors.
afford alarm clocks.
So I literally, when I used to live in my parents' house, there was somebody a block away that had a fucking rooster. And every morning, that stupid, and it was so far away where I was like, what were you going to do?
We used to
It's-
have roosters at my parents' house.
Oh,
back
I
in the
would
day.
have
The
fucking
Hollywood
hated
house.
you.
Literally every morning. You
I would have been
just hear this
throwing
thing
rocks over the wall.
screaming.
Like I would, no.
We didn't even know which house it was, but every morning, yeah.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Like if it was my next door neighbor, I would have probably been throwing shit across the wall to shut that thing up. Because like imagine
Why?
at
Why does the
5:30
rooster keep doing that? Like, it makes no sense.
It doesn't make
There's
any
no
sense.
benefit to it.
like what
Like, is he trying
no
to-
benefit to it.
What is the point of a
Is
rooster?
he trying to
fucking-
get laid like early in the morning?
But you're
I'm
right.
pretty sure the chickens even find that annoying.
Like why at that hour? Like why does it have to be?
crazy.
A
Okay,
fucking,
so
what?
okay.
There's no scientific explanation.
roosters yell
Okay.
for many reasons,
Okay.
including to communicate with hens and to establish territory and
Okay.
warn away predators. But I'm just wondering.
But why at
You're
5:30
literally in the
a.m.?
backyard.
Why in the morning?
What
Why not in
predators
the
are you
night?
warning away? There aren't. There's
No.
Yeah,
see,
but they
there's-
don't understand that. They don't understand they're like in a backyard.
Maybe-
Oh, so they crow
Okay.
to basically let the hens know, hey, it's time to eat.
Oh, that's why
That
at
makes
dawn.
sense.
Yeah.
Because it's morning, it's time to eat.
Or like they'll like tell them that it's safe to leave wherever you are. Like you can come out.
That's
It's like a
interesting.
protection thing. How cute is that?
Well, if the hens were, let's not get into that. I was gonna say if the hens were feminists, they would say we don't need your protection. Unfortunately, we've gotten to that point in society where, although men think that, we're still the protectors, we think of ourselves as the protectors. You got a bunch of women running around going, we don't need men to protect us. It's like,
Yeah.
we know you don't need it, but that's just what our function as fucking humans is.
That's
Like to us, that is our function. Like that is the way we're wired as men.
Well, question I found on Google: why do roosters cockle-doodle-doo?
I guess that's what you type when you don't
Communicate with
know.
other roosters.
Well, but also roosters are fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
Have you seen the...
Yes, we used to have them.
No, but have you... Like, roosters have spurs.
Yeah.
And they will cut you wide open with those things. If
We
they
had very
attack you...
nice roosters.
So if a rooster attacks you, those spurs on their legs will cut you wide open. Like, that's what they use them for, to fight.
I think our chickens were a little meaner to certain people.
Your chickens were fucking terrifying.
They never attacked you.
How many did you have?
We had 3.
I
Well,
only saw
we
the
had
2.
them. We've had several over the course of time, but the last set we had 3 of them, and
I just never trust these fuckers with their beaks running around, dude, like with their giant feet. And I'm like, no, just stay away from me. And I also saw one of them attack like her cousin, so I was like,
it kept like gnawing and like pecking at his like foot,
Well,
and it would not
he
leave him
pissed it
alone.
off. Like he just like chased it or something, and then he went and sat down. So the chicken came up to him and just kept pecking at his leg.
The chicken didn't forget.
No,
And
the chicken did not.
The funny thing is, a lot of people say, oh, they don't have feelings and things like that. I remember this was a long time ago. In the middle of the night, we heard, my parents have a really big backyard. They have a lot of like, possums and things like that, come by, I guess. And I guess one of the chickens saw a possum and freaked out, and it was like screaming. So my dad ended up going outside, and the chicken literally came up to my dad, sat next to him, and would not leave his side.
Wow.
Like for
Well,
like an hour.
Yeah, but that's also because it was probably scared.
I know,
So-
but how
Yeah.
that's so cute though. It's like they feel they're scared,
I
like
hate
Yeah, of
possums. They're,
I love that our
hate
conversation turned
yeah,
into
you
chickens.
can't stand them. Rats,
Dude,
possums.
possums are basically just overgrown rats
Yeah.
with bigger
Yeah.
teeth.
Gross.
Like, I don't like them.
They're-
Sorry, I love
They're
animals.
scary.
No,
I don't understand people that are like that pet possums or like they're like they want to like. I'm like, dude,
Who has
it's a
a
rat.
pet
Like
possum?
I've seen videos on TikTok where
like
somebody's
in
like,
the States or in different
yeah,
countries?
no, like somebody.
apparently they're like very nice though to like.
So like somebody
general,
saw a
but-
baby possum, picked it up, and kept it as a pet.
No.
I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you couldn't find a fucking little, chihuahua.
Okay, also raccoons. Raccoons are super cute, but they freak me out. I don't know what it is
They're
about them.
alright, but yeah, I wouldn't have them as a
They
pet.
freak
I
me
wouldn't have
out.
it as a pet either. I feel they're probably fine.
I think it's
just
because I'm afraid of them biting because they have like diseases, right?
I think that's the
they
only
have,
thing.
what is it called?
They have rabies though.
rabies.
They carry
yeah.
rabies.
They carry rabies.
Yeah.
That's probably why
Like
I'm like.
skunks too, I think, right?
Also, skunks are super cute.
Dude, there's been a skunk around here the past.
It's
like,
always in the
couple
same
weeks,
area too. Whenever we're
'cause
like driving back home.
It stinks around here.
Are you sure it's a skunk?
I'm 100% like there's one smell that I can identify, and that's the crazy thing too is like how that little fucking animal with a little spray,
Yeah.
an entire neighborhood stinks. Like it's
Yeah.
like how strong is that shit?
Yeah. That's crazy. How potent. That's insane.
Like
gonna
somebody
have to,
needs to figure out like how a skunk makes its scent. And use that same method to make like a cologne where you only need one drop and it's just strong as shit and lasts all day.
Just go to the Macy's counter.
No, I don't want to smell like every cologne for 5 minutes. I want to smell like one
Go
cologne.
to the
for rest of
Americana. You'll
Well,
see a
why
lot
does
of-
it smell like weed? Does the skunk eat a lot of weed?
I don't, that's the funny thing is I've never understood why one smells like the other. I've always wondered that. I'm like, I wonder if like there's some kind of connection, but who knows? I don't know.
I think we'll leave farm animals to our next.
Farm animals. We're not on farm. Well, yeah, we already touched on farm animals. Okay, so last thing. Have you noticed, is it just me? Because I feel like I'm going crazy. But I feel like the last 3 months or so, it just feels like it's progressively more and more people on the road. Have you been
Traffic?
noticing that? Yeah. Like it died down between like that week between Christmas and New Year's. But then when it came back, it was just like with a vengeance.
I remember when the fires was going on, it was a little bit less
Yeah.
for me.
But then it came back like crazy after all that stopped.
It's like, man, I haven't really noticed, to be honest. Maybe.
Well,
What do you
maybe it's just
think?
where I'm going to.
My brother says the same thing.
Yeah.
He
More
says there's.
I think certain
feels like there's a
freeways
lot
are
of-
just.
Where
Cars.
are you going?
I'm always going up the 101 and over the hill, over the
Oh, you're
405,
in Oh, okay.
like in the West LA area.
Okay.
But I'm wondering if maybe what I'm seeing is a lot of people going back and forth to the Palisades too,
Maybe.
because that's like I think that's the only way to get there now. So maybe it's like people going to like clean up their houses or do whatever. I don't know. I mean, it's just for me though, like. Yeah, but I've also felt this for like the last couple of years, where it just feels like every month it's like more people, more cars, more traffic, more.
But the
bullshit.
valley too, or
Just in general, dude. It's like during COVID, it was fucking light, especially the first
Yeah.
like 6 months. It was
that
very light.
Amazing. Oh my god.
The first 2 months, it was like 3 cars on the road every day.
Yeah.
But then,
I was one of those cars.
and the funny thing is like you would get on the freeway and everybody was doing 90. Like 80
Yeah.
was like the minimum you would see people
Oh my
doing.
god, dude! I saw so many people pass like red lights.
Yeah,
I was like,
nobody
what
cared.
the hell's going on?
It was a free-for-all.
I was like, is COVID messing with people's heads? I was like, Jesus.
People
Christ.
didn't care, and that was the thing. Cops weren't pulling anybody over,
No,
so like
they
it was just a
weren't.
free for all.
Yeah.
But then once COVID's like ended, right, and people started going back to work and all that, even with a lot of people working from home, there was a ton of cars on the street. And then now that people are starting to get the like return to office bullshit,
Maybe that's
now
what
it's
it
getting
is.
even worse. But I gotta wonder, is it like, do we just not remember how bad it was before COVID? Maybe that's why. Maybe like it threw off our perception.
Maybe.
I think you weren't driving in that direction. That's why.
Yeah.
No, but even around here though.
No, around here, I think people's driving has gotten worse.
Oh,
I
that's
don't necessarily
that's a
see
given.
more people, but the driving has gotten way worse.
Okay, I also have this theory that people are getting stupider because of all the different like sensors and cameras on the cars.
Yeah.
Like nobody can drive anymore. Like everybody's just paying attention
Relying
to
on
something
the
else and
cameras,
relying on the
yeah.
sensors. Yeah.
It is, honestly, driving a car without cameras is a little terrifying because you're so
Well,
used to it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't even think I could do it anymore without a
So that's what I was going to say is I used to be able to like I at one point drove a giant work van with no windows in the
Chevy
back.
Astro. Yeah, I remember that.
And so not even the Astro, the Express, that was a full-size van with no
Yeah.
back windows. Like it was tinted black.
How
so I
did you
couldn't
see
anything.
out of there? How did?
I would still be able to do it with just 2 side mirrors. Now, I can't even back up a regular car without it because I got so used to the camera. Like I can't park in a regular spot anymore
Yeah.
without like and maybe it's also a bad thing because I squeeze into the tightest spots now because I got on my car too. I got a front and rear camera, so
Yeah.
I'm like I can squeeze into the tightest spots, but maybe I shouldn't be. But at the same time, it's like there's no fucking parking anywhere either
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
There's just people just keep coming, and I'm like,
You know what? I will say this. Like maybe 10 years ago, Glendale, the traffic wasn't that bad, but like every
it's
year,
picking up.
It's oh my god, it's multiplying every year.
And I wonder, you know what I wonder too, though, is I wonder if a lot of these people during COVID, I mean, I can't imagine that I attribute it to that much, but maybe a lot of people got hired remotely during COVID by
yeah.
companies
That's what I
based
was
here.
gonna say.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now they moved in here to keep their jobs and like they're,
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, yeah.
I'm sure it's got
Well,
to
because
be.
didn't Trump said something about he's gonna send people back to work? Or,
Well, that was for federal employees.
Yeah.
But I imagine because a lot of times too, like even the private companies, once the government does it,
yeah,
they're like, okay,
gonna
we're
do
doing it too.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
That's
who knows?
probably it.
That could be it.
Yeah.
It's just, dude, it's like every day, ask her, every day I get home, I'm like, I'm fucking sick of this traffic. Like, I don't know what I'm ready to either move or I don't know, dude. Cause like, or just accept that, hey, this is traffic and I'm gonna be sitting
Where
here for
would
an
you
hour.
move? You know, like there's
I know that's all bullshit.
like Seattle traffic. Have you guys been to Seattle?
I have.
I
the
haven't,
traffic?
but
It's just as unbearable. Portland.
well,
horrible.
but then that's the thing too, is like the weather sucks on top of it. It's
Yeah,
not like
it's
just the
raining all the
traffic. It's
time.
like now you got the traffic and the weather. It's
No.
like, you know what I mean? That's the
heard,
problem with most of the other places.
I think Honolulu has like worse traffic than us, so they say.
Well, apparently they got like their downtown areas got like a huge drug problem and stuff too.
Oh my god.
Because apparently there's nothing else to do other than get high over there. I don't know. I've never been personally,
I've never
but
been. Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Anywho, Should we wrap it up?
Till next time.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Peace. This was awesome, guys.
All right. Well, thanks for coming,
Thank you for having me.
we'll have you back another time, maybe.
Sounds good.
If you want
Perfect.
to.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
Thanks. Thanks for
Thank
listening,
you.
guys.